I feel like this whole show I had I don't give a shit about what the show sounds like vibe.
That's why we're the co-hosts.
Clearly.
All right, here we go. Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now. I've got to stick to John's timeline. I realized I just blew a half hour or 15 minutes.
Ooh,
Go!
Oh dear. Oh
We
dear.
have only only have an hour and 15 minutes now.
Don't.
A weekly examination of the importance
I'm
of
just going to
1980s
disconnect to the time limit. Don't worry about me.
pop culture and its influence today. Hey, my name's Will, and joining me as always are my friends and co-hosts Kat and John. Hey guys, how you
Hi
doing?
guys.
Hey there.
Hey, and don't forget to listen to our good buddy John as he hosts his very own podcast, Gen X Grown Up. And he hosts his own YouTube channel, and he's hosting a lot of things.
But not here. Here, I defer to my hero, Will.
Yes, unless I stop talking for 5 seconds, and then the Kat and John show starts.
Proud to be part
I
of
will
it.
turn this show around.
Yeah. So, hey, on today's show, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to catch up on a bunch of current news stories related to 1980s media. That's all we're going to do. And I'll be honest with you.
That's it?
Yeah, because
That's
this
plenty.
week was insane. And I don't like to half-ass any of our topics, although they probably sound like, well, why would you want to full-ass anything, though? Have we talked about this?
It might depend on the situation.
It doesn't sound right. I want a half-ass or less.
Okay.
And this week was crazy. And, all right, just follow me on this, Kat. And this weekend, I was really busy at a prom. Kat and I attended a 1980s prom.
Yes.
Had the good fortune of being of DJing and playing the music. And,
That's on my bucket list.
yeah, which to be at an 80s prom.
No, dancing at an event that you're the DJ at. So I
Oh.
achieved it.
Oh.
An item on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Duran all the time.
Okay. So this is what we're gonna do, Kat. Okay. Since the listeners don't know, and hopefully I'll remember to take this part out.
Right.
We really didn't have the prom yet. We're recording this before the prom, but we're recording for the prom because we're going to be so busy. So let's do two takes. One, the prom went really well, and a second take in case something really horrible happened.
Oh.
And then at the last minute, I'll edit in the right one. Okay. So, wow, that was so much fun. We had such a great time. You looked fantastic in your dress.
Best DJ ever. Yes, dress. Yep. I had a dress on.
It was very colorful.
Yes. Yes, it was. Yep. Everything was colorful.
Yes. The music was colorful.
So what was the theme of the great prom, guys?
Girls just want to have fun.
Yes. Asterisks and the DJ who's not a girl.
But also enjoys having fun.
Right. Okay, now let's do another take just in case it's an absolute disaster.
Okay.
Kat, I am so sorry that you were there when that happened. I had no idea.
You're sorry I was there when I broke my ankle from dancing?
Yes.
That's the only way it could have happened is if I was dancing.
And I wouldn't have offered you that painkiller if I had known you were allergic. And why don't you carry an EpiPen?
I expected you to provide. You're the DJ. You're supposed to take care of everyone at your event.
What do you think DJ stands for?
Isn't it Dr. J?
Oh, nicely done. Dr. J. Okay, one of those we'll use. All right, very good. All right, so among this, so again, we're going to focus on news. Not going to have a topic, but among those news items we're going to talk about is Dreamkid's got a new single, our buddy Dreamkid.
Cool.
Talking about the de-aging of Harrison Ford in the new film a little bit more than we have in the past. John Williams got a couple different items of note about his the music that he's done, including on that new Indiana Jones film. A bit of the truth behind the Michael Jordan story that's featured in the Air documentary, the Air movie that came out.
Docudrama-ish.
Yeah. What do they call those? Like a biopic? That's not a biopic. That's not about his.
That's kind of like about one person, but it's a biopic about a company and an event, kind of. Yeah, I'd say so.
It's a biopic of a shoe.
Shoe.
A soul pick.
Michael J. Fox's new documentary. Nicely done. See, I'm going to try to hear things now instead of in the edit later.
Be in the moment, Will.
Cary Elwes has some thoughts. He affirms his stance about a Princess Bride reboot. And we've got some Ghostbusters casting news, maybe, sort of, I think.
Right? I'm doing the sound effect for
That's
you.
all.
It's the firehouse alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I thought I was going to tell you guys something, but I don't remember. Anyway, I'm a little, I don't know, frazzled a bit. So I just ran in here to record because I was just at some shows that my youngest kid was doing at the school over there. And
how'd that go? Yeah.
They were great. They were great. The high school band, and she's younger, but she's in the high school band. That band is fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really fantastic. It's a huge band too. It's got to be like 100 kids almost, I think. Seriously.
Whoa.
But what I wanted is
awesome.
There's also these high school, what are they called? A cappella groups that perform, and they perform these type shows.
Yeah.
And I had seen them once before, and in both groups, because now it's the thing to have for a cappella groups, is a percussionist.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the 80s, we would say it was someone who beatboxes,
Right. Yes.
And the last time I saw them, my wife and the people we were with were praising. Oh, the best thing about those groups was that the girl who was doing the percussion, fantastic. I could listen to that all the time. And I'm like, are you kidding me? When I beatbox in the house, they're always telling me to stop.
Well, because you spit all over everything when you do it well.
Oh, no.
That is true. You're right.
You're like a rainbird sprinkler head. Like you're not Bismarcky, and we don't have a mop, so cut it out.
That's probably true. But I had this fantasy. This is true. I had this fantasy just because I daydream a lot. And I'm sitting there waiting for them to come out because I know they're coming out. I thought, what if the girl who usually does the beatboxing isn't here? She's sick. And just like a medical emergency, something like at the prom that we were at or we were not at, I don't remember if it was good or not.
Right. They run out like someone had a heart attack. Is there a human beatbox in the house? Anyone? We have an emergency.
Can you come backstage? I'm like, I don't even need to. Just count me in.
Right. Off you go.
There you go.
I am your EpiPen for this situation.
Or not, depending what happens. I don't know.
Or not.
All right. Hey, let's get caught up on 1980s news. So like I mentioned, our good buddy, TikTok and Instagram superstar, viral music sensation Dreamkid has just released a new single called Street Lights, which is it's a single that's off of his upcoming sophomore album that's coming out this summer from Outland Recordings. If you hear it, it's what you hope and expect from Dreamkid is that combination of his vocals and that, synth, just sort of synth-soaked track that, I don't know, just immediately inspires some kind of nostalgic feeling.
Yes, definitely.
It's a very dense soundscape that's created, right? It's not hollow at all. It's like you feel like all the corners are filled in with layers of sound, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I've got if you haven't had a chance, and for you listening, I've got a clip of the new single here.
It's a great song in its own right. I have to say, though, it definitely it wants my brain to think of a movie that it could go in.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm being influenced by his shorts, his videos, or what, or if there's something about the sound of it. I wondered what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in fact, I was thinking we would turn to John to find out what is being scored because we know he's good at this at least with regard to Dreamkid. Yes. We've never tried it with any other musician, but he knows
I did get
Dreamkid
lucky
music.
the one time, therefore I'm an expert.
That's all it takes on this show.
Yeah.
Did you get any visions or do you need to hear it again?
I did. You know, what it feels to me is it feels like I'm at the mall at night.
Oh, okay.
Like I could picture driving around the mall. The title Streetlights invoke that, but then I'm thinking like I'm inside the mall and it's the Skylight Mall, so it's dark outside and the lights inside are lighting up. They remind me of something about being in the mall when I was a kid.
I like that, and you just inspired me for something else. Ooh. My friend and I, we used to drive around parking lots of grocery stores in the 80s.
Specifically grocery stores?
Yes. And this could have been
got any spare Twinkies?
Yeah. What are you doing at a grocery store at night? Yeah. Is it open, the store, or is it?
Sometimes. Okay. Yeah.
Not always.
Right. Yeah.
Not always.
Okay.
This could have been our soundtrack for our escapades in the parking lot.
Well, the music video for the single premieres on Ryan's YouTube channel Thursday, May 4th. Okay. If it has a car driving around either a mall or a shopping or a grocery store.
Yep.
Well, the mall, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. That grocery store, if that's specific.
Pathmark or A&P.
Oh, okay. It's got to be East Coast grocery store.
Not a Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
Deals bets off if it's a Piggly Wiggly.
That would have been better, though, somehow. That would make it better.
Yeah. That does seem more 80s, doesn't it?
Yes.
With regard to his sound, Ryan says, quote, it's about comparing the present to the past. Things seem tough in the present so you long for the old days. Even if you're in the same place you were and the streets look the same, everything feels different. End quote.
Facts.
Even before he appeared on our show, he already had over 350,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. I can't imagine where he's at now.
Wow. Once the 1980s now effect kicks in, the sky's the limit.
It's like I don't know of a metaphor that would be for something that takes a really long time to build. It's so slow and changing that you don't notice. So
flower blooming.
It's there. It's ephemeral, but it's real. It does happen.
Anyway, he also boasts a plethora of Hollywood A-listers that follow him now. His Christmas time Instagram reel was shared by Jared Leto. Mm-hmm. And others like Zachary, I'm just going to screw up everybody's names in this thing. Zachary Levi, Shazam, Topher Grace, Freddie Prinze have all expressed their love for him in the last couple of months.
Wait, are you just listing people that screwed up superhero movies? Is that who follows Dreamkid?
Oh, let me see here. Oh, yeah, you're right. Except for Freddie Prinze.
Except for Freddie Prinze, maybe.
And he's too smart, I think, to
maybe so. Yeah,
that.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
That's a very specific audience.
Well, this new single, Street Lights, is available everywhere. There's also a link in the show notes below if you need help finding it. Okay. Hey, in other 1980s news, as reported by Total Film Magazine, Dial of Destiny director James Mangold is talking about de-aging Henry Jones, that is. So look, we've talked about this movie many times now. And in fact, on those occasions, we pointed out how it's going to open with a set piece that's set in 1944. It's going to be like a 25-minute opening intended to put us in the place, the feeling, the vibe of the original Indiana Jones films. So we're going to see a younger Indy in connection with that. The idea being that, and Mangold's talk about this, and so we have that when that segment ends, we're dropped into 1969 and have to now sort of deal with whatever that means emotionally, seeing a young guy that we cared about for 25 minutes now in one way, and for 40 years now. Having to cope with being older, having to cope with a completely different world that's more sophisticated.
I get it.
I'm curious what that phenomenon is going to be. We haven't talked about what I don't know. I don't know what that emotional experience is going to be.
From an analytical standpoint, I think it's really interesting how we know so much about this film because they had to give the internet something to chew on. In 1985, we wouldn't know it's 25 minutes of an actor being de-aged. We wouldn't know about you wouldn't know anything. But now I think they have to pick something that doesn't spoil everything to give you so that you will stop digging. Or not that it works all the time. But like in the trailer, you find out that the young lady double crosses him. Like you went ahead and found that out in the trailer.
Yeah.
You would not have seen that in an 80s trailer. That would have been a story beat. But now they have to feed you this.
Right.
Like Ghostbusters Afterlife was similar. Like they fed you all these pieces because they knew you'd be digging and they gave you something to dig up. And that disappoints me that we are so voracious for information that they have to give us something that could technically have been a spoiler, but for the fact they had to present it as a shield almost.
I was wondering about that 25 minutes. That seemed long or sounds long to me for an exciting opening scene? Or is that just me?
Well, in the sense that I guess we don't know what percentage it is of the movie, but look, if you think about the structure of a film, it's usually 20, 25 minutes to get to that inciting incident that launches us sort of into the, meat of the story.
That first act, right?
It could be, and it seems like based on this dial that maybe it's something that slipped through his fingers, 30 years earlier, 25 years earlier.
Makes sense.
It could be that structurally it's the same as a regular film, but to be in a different time period, that's kind of, I don't know if there's a precedent necessarily, but it's unusual. I think I'm going to feel kind of sad because, we're just going to be reminded. This is what he wants. He wants us to be reminded of young Indy, for us, not only story-wise, but as film goers, as people who sat in a theater in the 1980s and watched him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that getting lost in that and then switching to now, or 69 is close enough to now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be kind of, I don't know, a reminder that, Harrison Ford's old. He's not young anymore. Oh, damn it.
It might be jarring.
I think I told you guys this story once before, but I remember being a kid. I remember being exactly where I was when I told you this before, but I'll tell you anyway. You don't care. You don't remember that some actor of old Hollywood had passed away. This is in the 1980s. I'm a kid and I learned, and I remember the adults being sad, and like, wow, it's, I don't remember who it was, but we lost, whoever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling, I've seen him in movies, old black and white films or whatever, but otherwise feeling no emotional connection. And it dawned on me when Harrison Ford goes, that's how it's going to be like that for me. And since then it's like, or since recently now, he's winding up these characters. It's like, we're getting there.
So in your youth, this was like a Jimmy Stewart or that caliber of longtime actor that you weren't attached to. You just recognized him, but you hadn't grown up with him like your parents had. Oh.
Right. And so they were upset.
It was going to hit different.
It was Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly. It was someone like that.
One of those, sure.
Anyway, so we learned just a slight bit more about the process of de-aging him for this opening segment, which winds up, according to James Mangold, it allowed him to film the movie in a way that's not different than the other films he's made. Whereas, in the past, they've required, a lot of different types of technology and sort of things that could interfere with the performance of an actor. That makes it a little awkward to be able to do these, post-production de-aging. But he said, no, there was nothing particularly unusual about shooting the scenes, except that Harrison Ford had some dots on his face to capture his performance.
Right.
Mangold said, quote, I just shot him, Harrison Ford that is, and he just pretended that he was 35.
I have to wonder how hard that was. If that was easy or difficult to pretend to be 35.
Yeah, I know. Doing that now would be challenging.
I don't know how I would do that. What? Yeah. What is? I don't have the energy to pretend I'm 35 anymore.
Anyway, so in just a few years, because they've been doing this for a few years now, this de-aging, it's like technology, unlike most aspects of our lives, advances at a much more rapid rate than other aspects of our culture. And among that is this, again, it used to be so much more difficult and challenging, but included among those advances is that Mangold said that one of the benefits was that he could shoot Harrison Ford on a Monday and could see the dailies by Wednesday that already had his head replaced with a younger Harrison Ford.
That's crazy.
Like, it is crazy. But then I think about what's happened in just AI technology in the last 6 months even.
Yes.
And now it's like, well, that's barely crazy at all. The difference is what he has is almost, screen ready. Whereas what we get is like weird looking too many fingers AI stuff. But in the professional realm, I can imagine how much better it is for them. Wow.
Yeah. And they, unlike other productions that have had to maybe struggle with and using different techniques to de-age actors, they had the benefit of reels and reels, hours and hours of footage of Harrison Ford not only playing, a vast number of characters throughout his 30s and 40s, but specifically
this
Indiana
character,
Jones.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, based on the technology they use, they could just have a computer take that and draw essentially that on the old guy's face.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost seamless.
Imagine the convenience, right? So you're like, oh, we had this footage from Harrison Ford in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but there's a shadow on his forehead from his hat. Well, good news, he's wearing his hat now. So we're going to keep that shadow, no problem. So we can use the footage.
Yeah.
So there's something about being that character. And sometimes actors embody a character and they will act slightly differently. They'll make different mannerisms, but they're using the footage of him being that already, which is, and being that at that age, it's so perfect. Like you couldn't have planned it any better. I can't wait to see it.
It occurs to me when we're talking about him acting 35, they're going to have to use an AI to do his voice, probably.
To tweak it maybe, pull some gravel out or something. Some filter will fix that. Don't you imagine?
Well, I was thinking maybe they would go the James Earl Jones Darth Vader route, where they had used the various clips of Darth Vader and
create the phoneme library and just make him say whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could, or they feed it, old Indiana Jones still, and similarly to the face thing.
Maybe.
Oh, that's wild.
Well, speaking of James Mangold and this film, during the recent Star Wars celebration, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, James Mangold opened up about getting John Williams to return to the franchise. You know, we also talked about this before. Williams had planned to retire after Mangold's film. It seems like he's maybe not retiring anymore.
Yeah.
Which is good news for all of us. But it required some convincing for even Williams to get involved in this. And so, because he was already winding down, at the time, he imagined he was winding down. So he only committed initially to just doing, he was just going to write a couple of themes, and then they were going to have other folks, other composers come on, to orchestrate the music, to tease it out, write some other riffs on the theme that Williams creates. Well, according to Mangold, again, quoting Mangold, he said, that was the plan until, quote, Williams saw the movie. And then he started writing themes, and he just didn't stop until he had written over 2 hours of music in pencil, end quote.
Pencil.
This reminded me of a moment that I had seen recently from a making of documentary from, I think it was the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, where for that film, Williams had written 2 different themes and prevented them to Spielberg for him to choose.
I've heard this.
And I have a clip from that. From that documentary where Spielberg will explain it better than I can.
John, he'd actually written 2 Raiders themes. He had written, play that for me, which I freaked out over. I loved it so much. Then he said, and here's another possible Raiders score, Raiders main theme, and he played, and so he had 2 choices. And I think my only input was to say, can't you use both? And he did. He made the latter the bridge, and he made the former the main theme.
I mean, just so prolific and so brilliant.
And he's still very busy. I have some friends who just saw him last night at Lincoln Center in New York Philharmonic.
Was he conducting?
I believe so.
Yeah, I guess what else? No, they just saw him there, Will, eating popcorn.
There he is.
He's hanging out. But they were doing, it was like a John Williams,
retrospective or something?
Yeah, something like that. So themes, John Williams themes. And he was there for it. And apparently Steven Spielberg was also a guest.
Wow.
As well,
cool.
Yeah. That would have been a fun event to be at.
Yeah, kidding.
Yeah.
With regard to creating these themes, again, he's very prolific, and I would never have guessed those were 2. And then when he says that, it's like, oh yeah, I could see either of those being the main theme. But the way he put them together, with the one being the main thing, the other one being sort of like a bridge, it's just so perfect. Yeah. And the moments they choose to use one or the other in the films, it's just so perfect.
And it maps directly onto the Indiana Jones model, which is action swashbuckling and then long sweeping shots. And, and I picture the map and the dotted line that's drawing across the map, and that's that sweeping bridge. And then back into the action. Dun, 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 dun. Like perfect. Yeah. Accidentally perfect. Serendipitous.
Yes.
With regarding to writing these melodic themes, Williams said, quote, I spend more time on those bits of musical grammar to get them just right so they seem inevitable. I don't know how many permutations I will go through with a 6-note motif like that. They're often the hardest things to capture, I think, for anyone. And see, right? Otherwise, if he was a dumb person, he'd be like, oh, it's easy. It's no problem.
He wouldn't know the difference.
Take him out all the time.
He knows it's difficult. Yeah, of course. That's why he's a genius.
All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, and this is per Screen Rant. Now, I feel like I'm cranking through these at the pace I normally do, so the show might be a half hour long, but that's fine too.
Not likely.
I wish we had the wheel.
I thought about doing it.
Don't worry. We will derail you soon. No worries.
But honestly, like if we were BSing for 10 minutes, we've been recording for a half hour, and minus Kat's getting her thing restarted, maybe 5 minutes. So 25 minutes of show. Plenty of show. Yeah. There you go. Whatever. We were at a prom. Something bad happened or something good happened. Whatever. You listened. Per Screen Rant Air, the film about Michael Jordan's iconic footwear is full of, hot air, I guess. Air tells the story about Nike signing Michael Jordan and creating the Air Jordan. But a major part of the quote unquote true story that the film doesn't detail would make audiences look at it a little bit differently than they do. So it's not about, again, I think we said this when we were recording. It's not a biopic. It doesn't follow Michael Jordan's journey in the NBA. It follows follows Nike, and in particular, some of the folks there, including Sonny Vaccaro, who played by Matt Damon, who was instrumental in convincing Nike to put its entire $250,000 sponsorship budget into just one basketball player instead of doing what they wanted to do, which was spread it across 3 lower level players. Mm-hmm. That player, of course, was then a 21-year-old Michael Jordan, who at the time was just a promising up-and-comer.
Right.
He was not Air Jordan. He was not Michael Jordan that we know today. And against all odds,
Right.
Thanks to Vaccaro's determination, Michael ultimately signs a contract with Nike over Converse and his personal favorite Adidas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've had these biopics, a lot of these biopics recently, and the Queen one comes to mind where I know folks that were really familiar with their story were like, they changed like half of the truth to make it more interesting. Like what happened, this isn't what happened, but whatever. So it's not surprising that this film also tweaked some things, including the fact that the $250,000 budget was really actually $2.5 million. But the biggest changes...
Little details like that.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why you'd change that, except does it seem more compelling to be a smaller amount of money? I guess it makes it more likely that spending it on one like $2.5 million, you think, well, we could do that. We can have him and the 3. Mm-hmm. Maybe it makes it easier to make.
If the amount is small enough, then breaking it down would have been more significant than saying, "Oh, we only gave him $1 million," which is a huge amount. Yeah, I get you.
Right.
Yeah.
But the biggest deception is something that's more pivotal to the story. It's the way in which Vaccaro in the film is represented at having convinced Jordan to go with Nike. So Vaccaro he wins over Jordan ultimately with this tear-jerking speech. Jordan is convinced to sign with the now legendary shoemaker. And what's presented as a poignant moment in the film was actually much more practical in reality. Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, Jordan liked Converse and loved Adidas. He did not like Nike is the reality. And in reality, that's right.
Go straight back to DMC.
I like Adidas for that reason. Although
that's why I liked them. I never owned a pair, but I liked them for that reason.
Me neither. Yeah. I wore Pumas. I have them on now. But yeah. But Jordan was never won over by Nike, and he still wanted to go to Adidas even after he met with them. So Nike in reality met with Jordan, and he said, look, we'll do whatever we need to do here, including offering him a percentage of the profits of the Air Jordans. So what did he do? He didn't break down and hug Matt Damon and let you got a deal or whatever happens in the movie. No, instead, he went back to Adidas and said, will you give me the same deal? If you give me the same deal, I will sign with you.
Yeah.
And Adidas refused.
No dice.
Which is why he went right back to Nike. Think about it. If Adidas had accepted it, Nike would be no more. I mean, they were
probably
on the verge of bankruptcy.
Right, they were struggling.
This is the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is essentially what made their brand.
Have either of you seen this film yet?
No. I saw a trailer for it, though.
Certainly, yeah. I've seen lots of trailers for it. I almost went to see it. I have the AMC A-list, and so I'll go see a movie at the drop of a hat just because I have a free evening. And I almost went to see it, but then it was that or some other film, and I kind of went, this doesn't feel like a film I need to see in the theater.
Yeah.
It's not full of spectacle. It's a performance. It's a character piece. It's this dramatic biopic retelling thing. Like I can watch it at home ultimately. So I wonder if that's going to hurt. I wonder if other people are going to feel that way because you have the Quantum Manias and the Mario movies of the world, and then there's this little
Dials of Destiny
docudrama. That probably, unless you just see every movie, I bet it's not going to do great at the box office. Not because it's not good, but because just pure dramatic films. They struggle at the box office.
Now that you say that, I didn't even realize it was in the movie theaters. I thought it was like a made-for-TV, like Apple or...
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't feel like an in-the-movies movie, does it?
No.
Exactly.
Now, years ago, it would have. There was a period of time where we had more of these kinds of films.
Yep.
But nowadays, this is something Apple would put. Apple Plus, like the Tetris movie.
Right.
It feels exactly like a Hulu-y, Apple Plus-y, Netflix-y kind of thing. You're right, but it's...
I'm holding out for that network. Yep.
Yeah, all of them, the conglomeration.
Anyway, so there you go. But in spite of this little, untruth to make the story more interesting, and in that sense, you can imagine all this build up to something that was like ultimately just a business deal, a cynical business deal. It'd be a letdown.
It's all down to money.
It's all right. Fine, whatever. Although you often wonder, like, if you had to change that to make this movie, make a different movie. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I know Rudy, the movie, is based on a true story. And I believe what unfolds ultimately with them letting Rudy play and all that really happened. But let's say that didn't happen. In reality, it turns out they didn't let Rudy play ever. You know, then it would be like, but that's the main reason to have
your
the movie.
point, though, I get the feeling in this movie, again, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm speaking out of just what I've read and what I've seen in trailers. The high points of the story are accurate, but they've changed like motivations and how people got to the places. They changed the amount of money and whether it was purely mercenary or because of an impassioned speech or whatever. And so, yes, that changes the dramatic tone. You know, did this happen out of, what was your motivation one way or the other? Was it because you wanted to get rich or because you believed in the goodwill toward men? But ultimately, if you still did the thing, that's factual. In your example of Rudy, if Rudy hadn't played, that would be asinine to do a movie about that because you'd have to change the whole point of the movie, right? If they changed it and Adidas went with it, that's the wrong movie to make. So, yeah, I think the closer you are to the story, the more you're upset by these little changes, probably.
I wonder why he didn't like Nike.
Because they were a nothing shoe company. And Adidas had Run DMC song after it. That's exactly why for me.
Okay, right.
At the time, Adidas was a more prestige brand in that sense. So look, even though again they made that change, there are some truths that are revealed or things that we learn in the film. And again, and Screen Rant ran these down. So I'll just go through two of these that I thought were interesting. So I remember being a kid, and there were a couple of things that were rumors and folklore with regard to shoe brands. Like for example, I remember being a kid and playing basketball, you know, behind our elementary school in the courtyard there, and having a conversation with someone saying, "You know what Adidas stands for, don't you?" Where they get the name Adidas.
No.
Did you guys have that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No,
you never heard that, Kat?
No. Well, this is ringing a bell in my head because I think this has come up before here.
I thought it was factual.
I don't remember.
I didn't know it was a rumor. I thought it stood for "All Day I Dream About Sex." Is that what you'd heard?
Yeah. That's what in the playground we said, yes.
As far as I knew, that was true.
As a child, I never heard that. It was only here as an adult.
It's just now, as you learn most adult things on our show, especially if they're related to sex. I was just about to say, and she has kids, guys.
We're wonderful influences on Kat.
I mean, she has kids, so you understand what I'm saying, right? But yet, she still does it. Anyway, but and then I remember as a kid, someone said, "Well, no, that's not it." We people made that up. What it really is all day long I dream about sports, not sex. But it turns out neither of those is true. It turns out that the founder of Adidas is a gentleman named Adolf Dassler, and he was referred to as Addy. So you put his Addy and Das from his last name together, and that's where you get Adidas. Yeah. Adidas. But one of the things in the film shows is the rivalry between these shoe companies. And at some point in the film, the Nike refers to Adidas as being, owned by Nazis.
Whoa.
Well, it turns out that's true.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So actually this sentence might help. Let's see. Oh, actually this helps maybe understand what you were saying about Jordan before, or questioning Kat. Because according to Screen Rant, they said that Nike only had 17% of market share in 1984. And their competitors, including Adidas, were giants by comparison. So it makes sense that they might be making, these little digs at their, the sort of Davy and Goliath thing, except Davy's
so again,
Nazi.
Right. Again, it's about the money.
I mean, Goliath is a Nazi.
Goliath is a Nazi, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this Adolf Dassler, who was the founder of Adidas, not only does he have an unfortunate name often associated with Nazis, but it turns out he was a card-carrying member of the Nazi Party, having joined in 1933. In fact, his manufacturing warehouses were turned into weapons manufacturing plants, though he was against them doing that. And of course, the Germans, the armies, the military, etc., did whatever they needed to do or wanted to do. But but he was in fact a Nazi. All right. So, and then the other thing I thought was interesting that came out in the film and Screen Rant confirmed was where the slogan "Just Do It" comes from. Look, right? It's a universal, ubiquitous phrase at this point.
Right.
There's memes. Yes. There's memes with, what's his name? Shia LaBeouf saying it. Just do it. That he did in front of a green screen so you could put him into anything. The slogan was created by Dan Wieden from the marketing company Wieden and Kennedy, which was hired by Nike for the brand's first major television campaign in the late 1980s. But it's explained in the movie that those were the last words of a death row inmate just before he was shot to death by a firing squad.
Oh, man.
The original person who remarked, "Just do it," was Gary Gilmore.
And turns out he was wearing Nikes at the time. There you go.
Right.
Perfect connection. as blood seeped into the leather. It was wonderful. And now that's why the tops of the Air Jordans are red. Little known fact.
They're red.
There you go. Yeah. All right, now John's making up a last part of bullshit.
You do that all the time to us,
But the truth is, the commercial first aired with the Just Do It, first aired in 1988, and 21 years later in 2009, Wyden, who again created this campaign, recalled, none of us really paid that much attention. We thought, yeah, that'd work.
For now. It's a placeholder.
Gilmore, this gentleman who encouraged the firing squad to just get it over with already, was a Utah resident who robbed and killed 2 people, a gas station attendant and a motel worker in 1976.
Firing squad in 76?
Yeah. He was sentenced to death by firing squad just a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
And as Screen Rant says, it's ironic that one of the most well-known slogans of all time was lazily stolen from a death row inmate. I'm always going to think that now. Whenever I see anybody with that shirt on.
I'm ruined. Yeah.
Just do it.
I'm gonna spread the word. You know where that comes from, don't you? You evil fucker. Take that shirt off. Disgusting.
And now Nike gives free shirts that say that to every death row inmate to celebrate.
Yeah. Oh. And then as soon as they're executed, they take the shirt off and
they take the shirt back, and they use the pattern on it.
And they pass it along.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah. There's just really the one shirt.
Oh.
There's just the one shirt.
Just one.
Yeah, it's just a one shirt.
Did anybody wash this?
Why? It's going to be dead.
You're not going to wear it for long, dude.
Yeah, it does. This smells terrible. Really? That's what you're worried about? Hey, our independent podcast is brought to you every week by folks just like you. So if you'd like to help us out, please follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share an episode on Facebook. All of these actions just take a moment and are 100% free. But if you'd like to chuck in a buck and help us keep publishing the show week after week, please visit us at 1980snow.com/support to find out how you can send us $1 or $2. And thank you so much. It means a lot. Hey, another 1980s news. Cary Elwes stands by his earlier opinion. The Princess Bride should never be remade.
He's right.
That could be the whole story.
Correct.
I'll tell you what happened because we have time to use it. So Cary Elwes, star of The Princess Bride, right? Folks know who that. He played the man in black, Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes.
What's his name? What's his farm boy name? Wesley.
Wesley.
Yes. Yeah.
The Dread Pirate Wesley.
The 1987 film that really wasn't appreciated at the time. I remember it getting audiences were like, whatever. Critics, I think, were the same. I saw it. I was like, I love this movie. This is fantastic. I think it required you to sort of get it. It was a film like if you didn't get it, you didn't like it. If you got it, because it's unusual to sort of balance of swashbuckling fantasy and just straight up comedy at times too.
I've talked to many people about The Princess Bride, and the way I've described it, if they don't like it, I always suspect it's because they're wanting a different movie. It's almost like you need a password. You need a key to get into this movie. You're like, oh, you have to get in this mindset. Here's what it is. Not realistic, not a joke, not a comedy, but is, not a drama, but is. It's all these things, but none of those things.
Yes.
But if you're expecting it to be something else, it looks goofy, which I totally get. So it's almost like you need the password. You need the secret sauce to get it. And once you do, you're hooked.
I had never I didn't see it right away, I should say. And I believe I saw it in 1990 for the first time.
Okay.
But everyone, leading up to that, the months leading up to me seeing it was filled with people saying, you haven't seen The Princess Bride. All this shock. It was when I arrived at college,
it's one
actually.
Of those. Yeah.
Everyone had seen it, apparently, except for me.
Inconceivable, Kat.
It was, yes, it was. And so that was rectified soon after. It was made sure that I got to see this movie that everyone was shocked I'd missed. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it's then, something that appealed in particular to our generation at the time, since you said it's folks at college, or was it the benefit of the 3 years since the film came out, it started getting more of a following?
I was surprised when I was reading this article.
Yep.
I thought, wait, that came out in 87 for sure. It was earlier because of all the how I was approached. Everyone being like, oh,
like it was a classic from the 50s that you have to see, but it really was a very recent film.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or I'd missed Star Wars somehow or something like that. Yeah.
Star what now? Old movies?
Yeah, Star Wars, an old movie.
That old movie, Star Wars?
Around this same time, I think I want to say 88 or 89 maybe. another film came out that, well, there's a couple other films that I feel like I appreciated at this time that they came out, seeing them in theaters. So I would go to the theater a lot. But other folks like, I don't know, whatever. One was Baron Munchausen. I really liked that film. I love Terry Gilliam generally. And I feel like I kind of get the sort of weird, sort of tone of his films. So I like that film.
Yeah.
But one that was even more important to me at the time, I remember folks, the audiences didn't really care for it, or critics panned it, I think, was Joe versus the Volcano.
Tom Hanks, right?
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan playing multiple roles, written by John Patrick Shanley, the playwright. I think he directed it too. In fact, that movie, I felt like I got it. I felt like it spoke to me because it's very sort of philosophical and existential, sort of that I would use it as a, did I tell you guys this already?
No, not me.
I know this, but I don't think John does.
Okay. I think that maybe I told Jackie and Dion, or I don't know, when I was on their show.
Yeah. That was probably
I would use this as a way of determining finding a potential mate, I guess I'll say. Was like a threshold question would be, hey, did you ever see Joe versus the Volcano? No. Okay, that's fine. Yes. Did you like it? You're like, no, I didn't get that. Was weird. That was kind of stupid.
Off the list.
Done. Yes.
X.
Separate checks. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. My wife loves the movie. Again, I did it to her, when we first met. And we wound up watching it within, I don't know, probably 72 hours of first dating again. Wow. We both loved that film. All right, what are we talking about? So in 2019, there had been rumblings of the Princess Bride getting remade. And that prompted Elwes to tweet. Well, here's what happened. So Variety at the time tweeted some Variety. Yeah, here it is. I'm smashing Variety and tweeted together. Retweeted it or something. Variety tweeted Sony Pictures Entertainment CEO Tony Vinciquerra, maybe Chiara, says that very famous people whose names I won't use want to redo Norman Lear's The Princess Bride. End quote. Elwes responded, quote, "There's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one."
Yep.
For fans of the film, they recognize that's a line from the movie. He's talking about the princess's breasts and not remaking Princess Bride. But there you go.
I didn't know that was a line in the movie. I did not recall that.
You did see it though when everybody came to you, right, with pitchforks and torches. You did watch it under duress.
I did. I have since watched the whole movie, but I didn't lodge every
Didn't
detail.
pick up on that,
So here, when you first said that, I was like, "Aw!" And then when you said the next part, I'm like, "Okay."
Well, Elwes' post at the time went quickly viral, showing that nobody wants this. I mean, it's kind of, you feel like it's a no-brainer, right?
People think they want it.
You mean when you say people think they want it? So who's the people? The business?
I think everyone. I think everyone is like Princess Bride. I love it more. The emotional is like, you want more of that. But as soon as you realize it would not be more of that, it would be something different. Once you rationalize it, it becomes immediately, no, don't do it.
Just watch the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, would you like something you love as much as that? Obviously I would.
Yeah.
It won't be that. Well, then let's not do it. That's the problem.
Yeah. What I think works better is, when they use books to continue stories or comic books to continue stories. There's something about it that you're able to then imagine the actors you fell in love with on screen and their voices, and then it's okay. Something a little better. Not perfect way of continuing something, but I found that worked reading like Star Wars comics or books or something like,
Yeah.
Now, in a recent interview with comicbook.com, Elwes recalls putting out that tweet and still stands by his opinion, saying, quote, "There was a CEO or president of some studio at some point who was trying to create some kind of publicity around the fact that he was going to remake the film. And he posted it on Twitter, and I responded that," he's saying everything I just told you. Okay. I'll say this. Stands by his opinion, saying, quote, "That seemed to get the response regarding his quote as a tweet," whatever. You got the whole thing. This is all going in.
Get it out. I have a follow-up. You'll get out the thought.
We were at the prom. And remember what happened at the prom?
It was terrible.
I had to take Kat to the hospital.
It was terrible.
Horrible. We didn't even tell you about the fire. But, I don't know how many casualties. They're still pulling bodies out of that thing.
Were you able to save any of your LPs, or were they all melted?
No, melted. It's just one giant LP now.
It looks like a tire.
Yes. We rolled it out, but you're not separating that. Anyway, Elwes says that he recalls having said that and says he still stands by it. There you go, whatever. He got the response that he wanted. So I guess he's taking credit for having, shown what the real fan reaction would be to them touching such a precious property. John?
Yep.
As you wish.
Oh, it was worth the wait.
That's got to be a line from the movie.
What, Kat?
Oh my God, Kat!
You never,
For heaven's sake, that's
I'm
inconceivable.
doubting your story now.
I've only seen it once. I enjoyed it.
It's a main thing in the movie. It's a main point. It's a plot point, practically.
But I need to see things many times.
It's a twist when he says it again. He's
Right.
like, oh, that's...
He's the servant boy who's serving Buttercup, right? And he's in love with her, but he can't profess it. And so when she gives him a command, he says, as you wish. But in his heart, he's saying, I love you.
Okay.
So at any point later, when he's well, you got to do this for me, do this for me. And he said,
now he's the masked man.
All right.
She doesn't know who he is.
As you wish. And she's like, oh shit, it's him. It's Wesley. Yeah. And he still loves me. Okay. It's as you wish, Kat, as you wish.
I just got goosebumps.
See,
just
me
John
too.
Reenacting
me
it.
Too. Me too.
I love that that's happening for you guys. Okay, I'll move it up higher on my rewatch
Kat's
list.
like, John's just saying 3 random words.
No, I'm not. I'm saying very powerful random words. Very specific words. As you wish.
All right. Hey, another 1980s news. Deadline reports on the trailer for Michael J. Fox's new documentary. So in the trailer for Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, the Back to the Future actor reflects on what's kept him active and fighting years after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Did you watch this trailer?
I just realized I'm going to get haters for not having Princess Bride
Not
memorized.
knowing enough Princess Bride.
And only watching it once in my life.
That's what it was.
And, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's going to happen.
The film, which premiered recently to good reviews at the Sundance Film Festival, incorporates documentary, archival, and scripted elements to recount Fox's story in his own words. Quote, I was bigger than bubblegum, quote, end quote, the actor says of his post-Family Ties breakthrough into stardom in the 1980s.
That's a funny thing to compare to.
Yeah, was bubblegum that popular? Maybe for him, his generation.
Does anybody not know about bubblegum?
That's true. You're right.
Yeah. It might not be your favorite thing, but you know what it is.
You know.
I love the trailer. The trailer gave me the feels. I love that trailer. It looks great.
I didn't watch the trailer.
I love when he says, as you wish. Oh, goosebumps.
Now you're just being mean.
The film recounts both his career and his never-before-seen private journey with Parkinson's, including the years that followed his diagnosis at 29. Wow. That's right. He kept it secret for a long while, right?
Yep.
Continued to act and try to do things to adjust his performance in such a way that folks wouldn't necessarily catch on.
He just made that part of his mannerisms, which we all bought because he was that kind of a manic small guy. And so, yeah.
Produced with an unprecedented access to Fox and his family, the film explores what happens when, quote, an incurable optimist confronts an incurable disease, end quote. Gosh, really feel for this guy.
Yeah.
This is kind of what we're talking about with Harrison Ford, getting up there, etc. We love all these. We love these people. I love Michael J. Fox. Guy we grew up watching, and he's bigger than bubblegum for us in the 1980s, certainly.
Especially for actors like Fox, who are not just heroes we watch; they're proxies for us into their film. Right? They're the one living through it, and you're living through the film with them, kind of as your avatar. You know what I mean? Whereas Indiana Jones, fantastic, but he's the hero. Han Solo is the hero.
Yes.
Where Luke is more like the proxy that you're moving through the film and you're learning about the world with. And Michael J. Fox is usually the put upon kind of like scramble headed, like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed kind of thing. And you're living the movie with him. And so you map yourself onto him. And then when something bad happens to him, I think you feel it even more deeply. I know I do.
Very personal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very personal. There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
In the trailer, Fox addresses what's kept him going, saying, quote, I'm a tough son of a bitch. Yes.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I mean, I would hope that I have the same strength, sort of persistence, all those things that someone like him, he has demonstrated would face with something so challenging. I don't know. I look, I know me well enough to know that the initial impact would probably be pretty devastating. I'd be in that, what's the first? Denial. I'd be in denial for a long period.
It's not just a river in Egypt anymore.
No. But, I was thinking about Parkinson's too, because I've been meaning to bring this up that you remember Valerie Perrine, the actor she was in Lenny. She was in a number of films in the 1970s, but to us, she will always be known as Miss Tessmacher, the glamorous, morally conflicted companion to Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeve Superman films.
Oh my God. gosh, yes.
Well,
yes.
she too has been battling Parkinson's for years. And just a few months ago, a friend of hers started a GoFundMe to help pay for some of her medical bills because they're quite daunting.
I imagine.
Wow, yeah.
And, look, she is one of those, we would post her recently on Facebook, like early crushes. Miss Tessmacher. I mean, come on. And I love the moments, in the films that, and again, she's a fantastic actor. And she already had made her mark long before for Superman. But in those movies, I love those moments where Tessmacher, she reveals that she's not, this evil foil, when she saves Superman from the pool and helps him get the kryptonite off.
Oh my gosh.
Ultimately a good person. Look at that. Yep.
Super, super powerful. Yep.
And he says to her, will you take this off of my neck? And she says, as you wish. Right? John remembers the movie. John saw the movie.
I love Superman.
He was flying. Remember, he went around the world. That was that one. You saw it, right?
Pausing to see if she saw it.
I love Superman so much, and I've seen that so many times.
Okay.
You can't take that away from me.
I wouldn't try.
Look, if you can, you have the wherewithal. Follow Valerie on Twitter. I follow her on Twitter, and you could get her link to her GoFundMe or look it up. And please help this, another national treasure. Okay. Hey, in other 1980s news, this is our last story. So I guess the show will be 45 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. I don't know. We've had a lot of technical difficulties.
Just don't edit it. Just let it go.
I'm not editing it. I'm not.
Go.
That 5 minutes of Kat's mic getting rebooted.
Oh no.
It's in the show. Kat, we should come up with some more scenarios that may have happened at the prom to cover our bases.
I think you're right. We didn't fill her.
As reported by Ghostbusters News, Ernie Hudson seemingly confirms original Ghostbusters cast returning to the upcoming sequel. So in an interview with the Film Collective, Hudson talked about Winston's role in the upcoming sequel and potentially let slip the return of other characters from that original movie. Regarding Winston, he said, quote, Jason, Jason Reitman, whose father was Ivan Reitman, the original producer and director of the early films, and has continued his father's legacy. Jason has been really been, supportive of me and saying, okay, we want to see Winston because the fans have sort of embraced that character, unlike the studio expected. And then Ernie continues saying, I had a studio exec say, wow, the fans sort of think Winston's like one of the Ghostbusters. And I thought, that's what I thought he was. End quote.
All along.
Can I just say how happy I am that at this point in the legacy of Ghostbusters, that Winston / Ernie Hudson it's like he's finally getting his due.
Yeah.
Because that role was initially, as I recall, was going to be Eddie Murphy. It was going to be another of these SNL alums they were going to bring into the fold, and it didn't work out. And so let's replace him with another actor, but they diminished the role. And he was on the poster. He was seen as just the fourth guy. He was almost just like you hire he's a soldier brought in to work with the main guys is how it was treated by everybody, it seemed like. And now he's being placed as the savior of the franchise, the guy who's taking care of everything. And I couldn't be happier that there's this vindication almost for the character and for the actor. Right. On the long enough timeline of Ghostbusters, we finally got to the point where he's getting his due. Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, John, I agree with you 100%. You're right. Eddie Murphy was originally offered the role. He turned it down. I believe he went to film Beverly Hills Cop at the same time. He had a conflict. He was already scheduled to film Beverly Hills Cop. And then they slashed down his role because the script Ernie Hudson originally read was the one written for Murphy. And then when they got him hired instead, they cut it all out. He showed up literally on set.
Where's all my pages? Yeah. Where's all my pages?
That's exactly what happened. Right.
Yeah.
But now, as you mentioned, Winston, in a post-credits scene in Afterlife, he was revealed to have amassed a fortune, and he goes on to purchase the Ghostbusters firehouse, signaling this upcoming sequel that the story was moving back to New York City. Very little is known about this story so far. Anyway, but also with regard to that sequel, curiously, in this interview, again, with the Film Collective, which Ernie... during the interview in which Ernie spoke with the Film Collective. I'm having a real hard time talking tonight, right? It's all staying in. I'm just really stalling. Curiously, regarding work on the sequel, which is currently in production in London, Hudson said, quote, "It's great to be back with Danny and Bill and Annie Potts and the new cast. It's been 40 years. It just feels like family," end quote. I wonder what the interview at that point was like. I've got a scoop. Maintain. Look calm.
Don't act like you need to run out right away and publish this immediately because you do.
Do not spook him. Really, that's
Stay cool.
fine.
Stay cool.
That's fine. Whatever. Now, Danny is probably Dan Aykroyd, right? We can assume that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while in the context, Bill may likely be Bill Murray, it may also refer to another actor from the first film. Because spotted on set was William Atherton, the actor who played
Ridiculous.
Well, that's what I heard.
Yes.
Walter Peck. That's so funny, John. This is you and I. I have written down for me to say the man with no dick. The actor who played the man with no dick, and then in parentheses I wrote, well, that's what I heard. Good, that was great. It's like we rehearsed it.
That's what I heard.
And now I killed all the magic by just...
And thank goodness you overanalyzed it to make sure.
Especially funny. Anyway, Walter Peck, yes. And while Atherton reprised his role as Peck in the 2009 video game, he hasn't been in any of the other films. In photos snapped by the Daily Mail, we see Hudson, Atherton, and Paul Rudd, a member of the new cast. And here's another interesting bit is that while he's wearing a robe, probably to keep him warm because it has a hood, it almost looks like a druid robe or something out of Harry Potter. He doesn't have the hood on, but oftentimes we see in these sets, they get robes to keep them warm because their costumes aren't sufficient enough to keep them warm when they're shooting outside, for example. But under that robe, you can see the
hot pants.
Or hot pants, which to get the hot pants warm, you have to crack them and then quickly put them on. Don't crack them while they're on. Crack them before you put them on, guys.
It's like a glow stick. Yeah.
It's a glow stick. I learned the hard way. Take it from Uncle Will.
You're sure you're not wearing glow pants? Maybe that's what you have.
Oh, shoot. I was thinking
the light. It's hard to get to sleep at night.
Oh, damn it, John. You're right. Hot pants, I'm coming to turn you off and not use you anymore. I got to stop cracking
glow
those.
Pants.
Glow pants. But it looks like Paul Rudd is wearing the iconic Ghostbusters uniform. You can only see the collar, but it looks like the right color and the right shape, which would imply that, what was his name? Guberson? What was? Goobers? Something.
His name in the movie?
Gooberson. Gooberton? Goobers. I don't know. Whatever.
Gooberson sounds right, but now it sounds wrong. You said it too many times.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember.
Why is this teacher...
No.
This teacher / seismologist from, now a Ghostbuster? I mean, he was possessed by a ghost. I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is, I guess, for hiring.
Maybe he's on as a consultant because something seismological is happening in New York.
And he gets to wear a cool uniform.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sure, whatever. Hey, I'm all for it. I really enjoyed the last sequel. It was different. It was more like an Amblin film than, for sure, a Reitman film, let's say. But I don't know. Something about that worked for me.
I dug it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was a little too fan servicey for me at moments, especially how that climax was really similar to the first movie.
Well, it was, the thing they did good in Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think, is that the Ghostbusters obviously exist in the universe of this film, by which I mean they have the same reverence for the real Ghostbusters as we have for the film Ghostbusters because they saved New York and all that. So they were super excited to see a trap like we would be super excited to see a trap, but for a different reason. For them, it's a real thing they heard about. For us, it's a cool movie memory, right? So we got it was almost the same kind of fan service, but for them, they were fans, so it almost made sense. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. That's a neat little psychological trick.
Yeah, well, it gives you an out. Well, why are we going to spend so much time oogling over the ghost trap? Because they think it's cool too. Because it's an artifact from the event in New York, kind of. You know what I mean? It's that kind of cool thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I feel like
that's how I rated it.
I feel like it just talked me into liking the ending too. I was feeling like it was a little too on the nose because we have the literal same bad guy from the first movie. Gozer.
Right.
Gozer? The Gozerian?
Yes.
Yeah, who looked like Sheena Easton to me when I was a kid in the first film. This one was played by Olivia Wilde, I believe. And I was like, oh, come on. This is just, and people became the demon dogs again. But in a sense, it kind of makes it kind of makes sense too in one way because that thing didn't succeed the first time, so it's going to try again.
Right.
Right.
Whatever.
Other than work harder at it, I mean, it's the same bad guy who would have the same powers to do the same kind of stuff. So why not? Yeah.
Same dogs.
Same dogs.
Same devil dogs. Yep.
So and now that we're back on track, maybe we can move on to some other ghosts or whatever. Now, with regard to the Ernie's comments or those photos with William Atherton, Columbia has not made any comment with regard to who's in the movie other than the folks that we know that were in the last movie, Paul Rudd and wow, and other people. I don't know. I can't remember anybody else's name.
And other people.
Other people.
Will we
Cary
see the return
Coons,
of
Cary
podcast? What podcast back?
Oh, and what's his face that John is jealous of?
Patton frickin' Oswald's going to be in this damn movie, and I'm not.
Yeah, who else?
Terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. There was two people.
And the other guy.
The
other guy
Kumail
who was in
Nanjiani.
Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. How about put Josh Gad in there? Put another guy I'm jealous of his talent. Throw him, give him a Ghostbusters spot too. Anybody but me.
I don't care for Josh Gad.
no.
Something about him bothers me.
Well, he doesn't care for you, so the feeling's mutual.
Oh,
You know what I didn't care for was we started a podcast about 1980s pop culture and reached out to people that nobody was talking to, you know, and we were getting interviews, etc. And
Okay.
there was I think twice. During the pandemic, he starts his own thing now. I'm doing a show where I do all 80s stuff. You know, and look, he got people. I'm sure he got them like that. No problem getting people on the show.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of guests that we had that were supposed to come on our show. No, they canceled, and then they were on his show.
Oh,
And that's why, because they're like, oh, now we have choices now.
I see.
Uncool.
So it's not him personally. You just don't like him as a competitor.
No, and I just don't like this idea of the celebrity podcast. This was made.
Right.
It was a thing.
You're already famous.
It was
Quit
an
it.
indie thing.
Right.
Don't suck up all the air in the room. Give us a shot.
Yeah, it's a grassroots indie thing. Why'd you have to?
What do you need this for? Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Right.
I don't know what this. I was just saying.
Unless, of course, I become very famous, in which case I'm definitely going to use my fame to bolster my podcast, just so you know.
If you become
But I'm
famous,
grandfathered in. I already have a show.
You're good.
Yeah.
Well, then it was organic in this. It wasn't.
Okay, sure.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, these people are bored during the pandemic, so they were like, "Well, I'll just do this other thing that all these other people are doing that have been doing it for years already." Whatever. I'm ending on a real sour note.
Will versus Josh. Battle of the century.
All right, hey, I'm gonna smile. Hey, that was our show. Because I know it changes how I sound.
Well, not when you grit and say it through your teeth, it doesn't. I'm very happy. I'm ecstatic.
So many teeth. That's a lot of teeth.
Through all those teeth. Our show is brought to you every week through all these teeth. Thanks in part to our early adopters like Karen Flieger, Kathy Burke, and Rick Parker.
There you go, Rick.
And and thanks especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters like Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, Nick Guillory,
Nice.
John Henderson, Craig Coletta, and Brad Bowman.
Hey.
Hey, did you plan it out ahead of time this time?
I did.
You see,
I did.
I mean, you're really on top of it, so I thought maybe.
Well done.
Well, I didn't want to be given a hard time, again. So.
Oh, gosh. Positive reinforcement gets people to do things more than negative. Oh, well, I messed up.
I say, you get more flies
You
with
did it.
ham than you do with pudding or something. What's the saying?
Yeah, both are delicious, but
Hey, I have something cool to share.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
While we were recording tonight,
okay.
I received a message from one of our loyal listeners.
Okay.
You mean listeners could just message you?
Yes.
Give out your number. What's your number?
I don't.
Oh,
It's Facebook.
oh, Facebook.
That kind of message.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger. And our loyal listener, Keith Sheehan, who was also my helper with the One Hit Wonder episode.
Yeah.
He said,
that's awesome.
Yes. He said, are you all doing the live stream for the recording again tonight?
Oh,
So I answered him, not live,
Sadly
but we
not.
are recording. Yeah, sadly not live. He said, okay.
I'd consider doing it always
I
live
think he's
because then I edit
disappointed.
less.
Is that the whole
really?
story? Is the whole story that someone was wondering if we're doing it live tonight and the answer was no? End of story?
Yes, that's it.
So the message you shared was like a fact, could have been answered with a fact.
So
If we had an FAQ on our website.
I have a story, and then the
you're
light
right.
turned green, and I went, and that's how it ends.
I just thought it was cool that one of our listeners messaged us like real time.
Oh.
Like, here we are.
Aren't all messages real time? You just don't get them right away.
I was like, oh, we're recording right
I'm so
now.
glad John's being mean for a change.
I'm just asking. You can tell me no.
I thought it was
All
cool.
right, hey, we will do the show in real time next time.
Will we? Okay.
Or maybe not. Maybe we'll do it delayed. When we speak to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
As you wish.
This podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.